Thank you, Sukumar. And just to share a thought, and he was telling you about how young I am, it makes me feel a little strange because more than half this country is younger than me. So I'm certainly not young in the Indian context. But as you think about changes and the fact that we are looking at leadership from a global perspective, companies, IT companies, Indian companies, global companies, what makes this leadership a challenging job? I'm of the opinion that in this country, the progress we've made in the IT sector has been because there have been people who've taken the initiative, who've shown the resilience, and who've faced many hurdles, made a mark for themselves in the Western world, and then over the last decade and a half have come to India and really entrenched themselves in the systems. Be it politics, be it IT, be it any of the corporate sectors, be it sports, media, the world is changing. And I think the people, the young men and women, who will be shouldering the responsibilities in the next 2 or 3 or 4 decades, have to be particularly aware that the challenge they face is different from the challenges we had 25 years ago, 30 years ago. India is certainly making progress. All the economic indicators are looking northwards. It's a great time to be in India. It's a great time to be young. It's a great time to be a young IT professional. But when you look ahead 10, 15 years down the line, I think one of the things we have to remember is we live in a world which is more diverse than it was before. A recent survey pointed out the divisions within our own country, whether they're rural-urban divides, whether the rich or poor divide, certainly the digital divide. 1/5 of people in the rural parts of our country live on less than 12 rupees a day. That's 30 cents a day. These are the people we have to somehow inculcate in our growth momentum. The economic that IT sector has brought to India, how does that percolate down? And I think the people who will make the decisions, who will form the policies, who will implement the programs, have to be sensitive towards that. And no person, I think in India, in my mind, be a true leader if he or she does not understand the importance of how this country needs to be led in both directions. We have an India that is poor, we have an India that is illiterate, that is malnourished, that is suffering from the lack of opportunity, and we have an India that is growing at 9, 10%, that's making tremendous growth. How does one tie that in? I think the challenge is to understand that Bharat and India has to be taken together. Politics, like all other professions, I think is getting very competitive, which is a good thing. It's getting more professional. I think because of the media, because of civil society, people are being made more accountable than they were earlier. And it is through this test of transparency and accountability that you will evolve a leadership which will be truly representative of India, which will have a global outlook, but it will still have its roots deep inside of India, etc. But all issues ultimately come down to local issues of politics. And I think people who can balance these two aspects are the ones who, in my mind, are real leaders, global leaders. It's easy to give speeches, it's easier to repeat cliches, but it's difficult to do it yourself. It's difficult to stand up against the popular voice and say, this is what I believe in. There are some principles, there are some values, there are some convictions that I stand for, and I will stick my neck out and do it. I think that's the strength of the new generation of leadership. I was telling him earlier, I said, how much time do we have to speak? And he said, about 10 minutes each person. I said, you don't put a mic in front of an Indian politician and then you give 7, 10-minute breaks. But I understand that we are on schedule here. So I just wanted to make a few remarks just in the general sense, but I think it's also more interesting to have a two-way dialogue. So I look forward to having interactions with you. If you have any questions or comments, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thanks.